Hi, I'm Doug Gould, and here in front of me I have a 64-channel StudioLive AI mixer. I'm going to show you some of the functions, how this operates as a mixer, and I'm going to start with the effects. On channels 1 through 32, I have 2 reverb and 2 delay. And on channels 33 through 64, I have another 2 reverb and 2 delay. So 8 effects processors in total. What I can do is assign different reverbs and different delays to different types of instruments, drums, guitars, keyboards, vocals. And how would I get those inputs into the effects is very simple. I would hit mix on the effect that I'm trying to operate and simply dial in with these encoders, which do lots of different things on this mixer. I'm going to dial in how much of that effect I want to that particular input. Drums, guitars, vocals, keys, whatever. When you save that scene of the mixer, it's going to save all your effects settings. So now let's talk about subgroups and what we use subgroups for. And on the PreSonus StudioLive AI system, we have 4 subgroups on 1 through 32 and 4 subgroups on 33 through 64. And I can either merge those, so I'm using 4 subgroups across all 64 channels, or 4 subgroups on the first 32 and 4 subgroups on the second set of channels. Why would you want to merge them? Why would you want to unmerge them? I'll give you some examples. I might want to merge them because in your location, your venue, you might have a large room and the main speakers trying to cover a room that's 60, 70 feet deep might not be adequate for the people in the back to hear it. So I'm going to set up some speakers in the back of the room, which are called delay stacks or delay towers. You've seen these at concerts where you have speakers way in the back of the concert venue, and now the people in the back can hear as well as the people in the front without being blasted out. In that particular case, I want to merge my subgroups. I want to have the subgroups on the master operate the delays. Why would you use subgroups in other applications would be for taking a group of channels, like drums for instance, 8 drum microphones. I don't think I want to mix those 8 faders during a live performance. I want to take those 8 channels and put them into a subgroup. I want to put all my guitars into a subgroup, maybe my background vocals into another subgroup. And then instead of mixing with 64 channels, I'm mixing with 4 or 8, or how many of you have. So in that case, you want to unmerge them. Typically when we're setting up our mixer, we start with drums and we go through our instruments, bass, guitars, vocals, keyboards, whatever. And now I can assign those various channels to a subgroup and mix with much fewer faders independently. So 4 here and 4 there. One other idea for using your subgroups would be your effects returns. Because I have 2 reverb and 2 delay, I want to make the returns of my reverb and my delay appear here instead of operating them from a little knob up here. This is much easier to get the amount of reverb or delay that I want as I need it. So that's another great application for using the subgroups. Merged, delay stacks, that type of thing. Unmerged, grouping instruments, or for effects returns. So how do auxiliaries work on this system? Well, very easy. They merge. So the 64-channel system that I have here has 14 Auxes across all 64 channels. So if I hit aux 1 on either console, I'll see the mix that was set up for that particular aux. Again, you're going to set them up just like on an AI console that's by itself without being cascaded, and it operates the same way. These rotary encoders will allow you to dial in the amount of level that you want to that monitor send. And again, these are all saved with your scenes globally. Let's talk about the fat channel, which is the heart of the PreSonus mixers. Again, you'll see a strip running along the middle of the console. And what this fat channel is basically responsible for is affecting the EQ and the dynamics of a particular input channel, or an aux mix, or a subgroup mix, or your main mix. You can even put the effects processors through a fat channel. Anything that has a blue button on it can go through the fat channel. So a simple way to demonstrate where those blue buttons exist is to hit the copy on your mixer, and you see all these things flashing. All of those independent blue lights can actually be processed through the fat channel. So if I want to affect a change in a particular input, I select it, and I have access to a high-pass filter, a gate, which can also be used as a downward expander, a compressor, a limiter, 4 bands of full parametric EQ, low, low mid, and highs. And I can affect the Q, which is the quality of the bandwidth of that particular frequency. If I want to copy, let's say, a vocalist EQ to a bunch of other channels, again, this operates as one mixer. So if I hit, let's say, a vocalist on channel 14 over here, and I love the way her EQ sounds on that particular mic, and I want to copy that EQ to 3 channels on the channels, let's say, 22 to 23 to 24. I would hit copy, and I'd go over to 22, 23, and 24 and select them. And then I would hit load. And now all of those have been copied over to that other group of channels. So it operates as one mixer, as you can see. Okay, I want to talk to you about mute groups and mix scenes right now. You don't gain twice as many. You want the mute groups and the mix scenes to be global. You want it to affect your whole mixer, not half and half. So I've got 6 mute groups. I've got 6 mix scenes, which I can set up very quickly to get access. So I don't have to go to my library and scroll through a bunch of different presets to call them up. They're right there at my fingertips. I've set up one mute group already, but the way to do it is very simple. If I hit mute group 1, you can see all these channels that I've pre-muted that I can turn on, turn off at touch of a button. Mute groups that I usually use for are going to be things for, like, maybe all the band instruments might be on a mute group, or all my vocals might be on a mute group. I might do something like this. I might have my monitors all muted so that I can adjust my main PA and assign that to a mute group. I put these mutes on, and I'm going to hold this button down until it lights up. And when I hit it again, all my monitors will disappear. Monitors muted, monitors unmuted. I do the same thing with effects returns. I want my reverb off when the singer is just talking to the audience. I don't want him talking through a reverb when he's just speaking words. When he's singing a song, it's great. But when he's speaking, I want the reverbs off. So what I'll do there, I might put all my effects on a mute group. Effects on, effects off. Same thing with mix scenes. You've got some scenes of a mixer that you've stored. Maybe you're doing some festival and you got one band after another. Not a lot of time for sound check. The time that you do have for sound check, you can get a quick mix. You hold it in here, you hit store. You have 6 different scene locations that you can store it in, and you assign it. When I come back to a previous scene, you have to hold the button down. So I'm going to go back to scene 1 right now. Scene 2. And now you have 6 very quick and easy accessible mix scenes to choose from. So I want to finish up by talking about the outputs and how they work on the cascaded system here. Each mixer, obviously, in their own right, has their own subgroup outputs and auxiliary outputs. But when they're merged like this, I'm going to derive the merged outputs for subgroups from the master. And all of your auxiliary outputs are going to come from the master as well. If the subgroups are unmerged, then you can use them independently or use them internally, like for grouping channels or using for effects returns. I also want to talk to you about wirelessly controlling the 64-channel system. You're going to need a router, and you're going to need to have a switch built into it with some multiple inputs. And you're going to connect each of the mixers to this router to be able to control them wirelessly. So that about wraps up the basics of the functions of a cascaded system like this. If you need more information on specific aspects of PreSonus StudioLive AI consoles, check out our knowledge base or our videos on a PreSonus website, presonus.com. And until next time, this is Doug Gould. Have a good day.